Yesterday, the government eased restrictions on just how close you can get to people in your extended household. And there were also changes made to phase 2 of the reopen plan, which kicks in after May long weekend. Political reporter Adam Hunter has been watching this all and joins me now. Adam, let's start with the changes to physical distancing. Was this influenced by BC's hugging allowance or the fact that Mother's Day is on Sunday?
I think a little bit of both, to be honest, Sam. I think the government's always watching, and the public health officials always watching what other provinces are doing, what measures that are being brought in. And in this case, Premier of BC John Horgan said that with their restrictions easing, that you could hug someone in your circle. In Saskatchewan, the specific guidance is that it just changed a couple of days ago, that if you have your extended household now of 2 to 3 families, you're not seeing a bunch of different people every day, and you're not at risk, and maybe your loved one, a mom or dad, isn't at risk, that you can give them a hug, you can share a meal. They're easing that 2-meter separation in those cases. But the other physical distancing guidelines are still in place, and as are just the guidelines around washing your hands, doing that sort of thing that we've been doing so far. But as for the weekend and Mother's Day coming up, they're saying if you've made that circle of a couple of households or your close family and you haven't gone outside of that, then you can come within 2 meters.
On to the reopen plan. Phase 2 now includes a lot more now than it did when the plan was announced.
Yeah, it seems to be changing weekly. So last week we didn't touch on this, but on Friday the government quietly announced that shopping malls and retail stores, will be some changes around what they can do when they open on phase 2. Now, shopping malls weren't even in part of the phase 2 plan initially. Now they can open, and for retail stores, they can now accept returned goods. And clothing stores can allow people in change rooms. Those things were forbidden when the initial plan was announced. So those changes were made last week, and just today, just a couple of hours ago, really, we had more changes. I would encourage everyone to go to the Government of Saskatchewan website, because it is a lot of detail about camping, golfing, some changes there. And today we know that there's more things about drive-in theaters. We have some more information on used clothing stores and farmers markets. So the government is constantly updating these phases and what can be allowed when. And so there are changes just today made to some of those things. And a lot of them have to do with maintaining physical distance, having hand washing stations, washing things that are being sold. So those changes just announced today with farmers markets, as I mentioned, and other things.
With all those things being added, at the same time, there have been calls to put a pause on phase 2. What are the odds that we see that happen as businesses are inching closer to opening their doors on the 19th?
This is something that was asked for by the NDP a couple of times, and again this week. They had some hairdressers and barber shops that were saying, we're not prepared to open. We're a little worried about our clients, about ourselves and safety, getting the right PPE, exactly what the guidance is from the government on this. There are other people that are working in close proximity with clients and customers that have shared these concerns as well. But I think we're more likely to see the government do what they've been doing, make little tweaks here and there as they get feedback from people, and maybe make changes once the phase is open. So a good example of this is what we saw in Lloydminster and La Loche recently, where the government paused phase 1 because of an outbreak at the Lloydminster Hospital and the outbreak that's happening in La Loche. They have announced that Lloydminster will go ahead with phase 1 on May 11th, but they're continuing to suspend the reopening in La Loche and area. And they have said in the past, Premier Scott Moe and Dr. Schaub, that they'll evaluate these on a case-by-case basis, depending on if there's an outbreak somewhere, or if there's a certain industry that has problems, they may restrict what they've been allowing once those things open up. So it'll be something that's evolving as this evolves. Sam?
Thanks so much for this, Adam.
You're welcome.
CBC Saskatchewan political reporter Adam Hunter in Regina.